allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
Roll call.
Mayor Gerardo Anaya,
Present.
Vice Mayor Miguel Villalpando, Councilmember Luis Galindo,
Present.
Councilmember Jesus Roldan,
Present.
Councilmember Martha Garcia,
Present.
Councilmember Juan Castillo,
Present.
Councilmember Lorena Sendejas.
Present.
Mayor, you have a quorum.
Thank you. Call to the public. Anybody from the public wishing to address council?
Good afternoon, Mayor, council members. A few months ago, I was
Excuse me, can you please state your name and your address?
Samantha Aguayo, 2440 West 11th Street in Yuma, Arizona. So a few months ago, I was here with Mr. Daniel Ruiz with the Yuma Baseball Academy. We presented a proposal to direct the Somerton Baseball League, and we're here to just give you a little summary of what we did. So we came and first thing we'd like to say is thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to bring back America's favorite pastime to the city of Somerton. We had almost 200 kids play, half of them which were from Somerton. We had 15 teams in total. With the help of Mr. Josue Rodriguez and Mr. Mesa, who's here, we'd like to say thank you. It was a great pleasure to work with all of them. I know that we have a memorandum of understanding for the next 2 seasons to come. And we just kind of want to show you what that brought us. So we also want to thank 8350 Sports and Pizzeria. They offered us 50 player of the games free pizzas for all the children there. Our budget was pretty much on the money. We brought in almost $10,000. We spent $2,700 in uniforms, almost $800 in awards. This was our first place award, and this was our second place award for the champion and second place. We paid almost $500 to the Cal Ripken League to charter Cal Ripken out of Somerton. We spent almost $800 in pictures. Every player obtained their picture packet, just like we had said. All of them had their pictures. We spent a little bit over $2,200 in umpires, and we have the batting cage that we said that we would provide. We spent a little bit over $3,000 on that batting cage that we have, that we will provide the City of Parks and Rec to place it at Joe Munoz, like we had said. We were negative, but we also gave them a free pizza party at the end at closing ceremonies. With that, we had offered a softball and special needs clinic. Somebody volunteered to do so, so we're not gonna do that. Somebody said that they would do it. We took 6 teams to the state tournament, 4 of which made it to regionals. We're very proud to say that the 8U, 9U, 10U, and the 12U Somerton Mets made it there. This is the 10U championship plaque. It is 2 times winners, and I think you guys are 2 times champs as well. We also made it to the Yuma Sun Somerton teams, pair of champions, and the Somerton team is headed to regionals. This is everything that we've done for the city of Somerton. This is my son. He'd like to say a few words as well.
Hello, my name is Maximiliano Aguayo. I am 10 years old and play for the 2-time Arizona State Champ 10U team as their shortstop. I would like to personally thank you all for giving my mom and Coach Danny the opportunity to direct the Somerton Cal Ripken Baseball League. Because of this, my team and I were able to play with and against the children of Somerton, giving us a chance to play at state. We are now headed to Rohnert Park, California to compete. We hope to bring back that championship trophy to the city of Somerton.
Thank you. I wanted to come here because we want to be transparent. We want to have suggestions from you. If there's anything that we can do better come the fall, we are very anxious and happy to be back. And we just wanted to present you with everything that we did because you gave us that opportunity to do so.
Okay.
Any questions?
Thank you. A call to the public, we can't really address,
Okay.
but yeah, maybe in a future agenda or council can direct their questions to Mr. Cabrera, but thank you.
All right.
I was following you guys, and it's great to see Somerton, competing at the state level, and Mr. Roldan kept us abreast of what was happening too. So congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Samantha.
Moving on to consent agenda, we have one item: approval of minutes of MOU amendment number 1 between WACOG and City of Somerton for LIHEAP Utility Assistance Program for fiscal year 2021-2022. Does any member of council want to remove the item from the consent agenda? Is there a motion? So motion by Councilwoman Garcia, second by Councilman Roldan. Those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We have a public hearing. Is there a motion to enter into public hearing? So motion by Councilwoman Sendejas. Second by Councilman Castillo. Those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We have one item, public hearing for purposes of hearing taxpayers in favor or against the proposed property tax levy and estimates of proposed expenditures for various purposes, which constitutes the fiscal year 2023 City of Somerton budget.
Good evening, Mayor, Council members. Zarina Gallegos, Finance Director for City of Somerton. Would you mind scrolling down? Thank you. So I would like to start off with our 2022 levy limit worksheet. This worksheet is produced every year by the Yuma County Assessors as well as the Arizona Department of Revenue. This worksheet identifies the levy limit, which is essentially the property tax to be collected in this particular year based on the net assessed value of our properties. It provides us with the calculation of the maximum tax levy the maximum amount we can levy, which is, can you scroll down? $768,690 at a rate of 1.6062. This worksheet allows us to do our truth in taxation analysis, which is the next worksheet that you'll see, which gives us based on the net assessed values, what our levy would be if we left the property tax consistent with prior year, which that would be $732,701, or if we choose to levy the maximum amount, which is $768,690. The difference is $35,989, which, if you scroll down a little bit more, all right, which the difference on home valued at $100,000 is $7.52 between the levy, which is consistent with prior years, or the maximum that we could levy. So the difference is $7.52 on a home valued at $100,000. Can you scroll down?
An assessed value.
Assessed value, yes. This is, yes, thank you. This is how these values are calculated. So essentially the same levy as we had in 2021 would be the $732,701 at a 1.5310 rate. That's the levy consistent with 2001. The maximum would be 1.6062 or $768,690. Next slide, please. Thank you. So without an increase to the property tax levy or the rate, we would be at $732,701. No increase, levy stays the same. The rate would be the 1.53. Next slide, please. The maximum amount that we are able to collect is the $768,690, which again is a $7.52 increase on a net assessed value of $100,000. Next slide. So we're able to go ahead and leave the levy consistent with prior year or increase it to the $768,000, which that's a $35,989 difference. So this is a public hearing to hear those in favor or against raising the levy limit, and also to review the budget for the evening. The actual resolution to approve the levy is going to be presented next at our next council meeting. This is the public hearing, and we'll be approving, well, whether you choose to approve the 2023 budget this year. That's on the agenda for later on today. Next slide. So the 2023 budget highlights. Go ahead. We have several capital purchases. I think a total of 13 vehicles and equipment. The highlight is the dump trucks for streets, the 3 vehicles for wastewater, sanitation, the vehicle body, replacement. We're getting a new backhoe for water and wastewater. On the capital projects side, we have several projects for parks, which include the Centennial Park lighting project, replacing the Centennial building roof, undergrounding the Centennial Park APS lines. And there are some really big projects as well, like the 3rd water tank, which we're in the process of starting the rehabilitation of water tank number 1. Is it number 1, Sam? Number 2. And we have the Parkview Avenue construction, as well as the street lights and Parkview Commerce.
Mayor, some of these projects have been rolled over due to obviously logistical reasons that they couldn't be purchased this year, so it just rolls over.
Okay, next slide. And these are the budget forms which are on the agenda for approval later today. Do you have any questions or?
Any questions or comments? Anybody from the public have a question or comment? It's a public hearing. There's no one.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious.
Okay.
But I don't know what to ask the right questions or ask the wrong questions. This is my first time here. So
Okay.
So
Just ask. Yeah.
So I'm gonna go over here, right?
Yes, and
All right.
state your name and
All right.
address.
My name is Michael Gloria. I live on 542 West Connell Street, of course, here in Somerton. I don't have no problem paying my property tax. I always pay it every year anyway. It doesn't matter to me. But what's the increase? What's the percentage are you guys thinking? Is that 20%, 10%?
No, it is. So it's a, can you scroll down, please, or up? I'm sorry, up. So the increase
Yeah, I pay
is-
like under $500 a year.
The proposed tax rate is.
Is it this
the
one?
proposed percentage, yes, the 4.91.
4.91?
Yes.
So out of I pay like under 500, how much would that be?
Well, I guess it's depending on the value of your property. So if your property is valued at $100,000.
No. Oh, it's
Yes.
90.
Okay,
90K.
so it's going to be less than the $7.52.
$7.52.
Less than the $7.52.
So I pay 400 plus $7.52 on top of that. So I'll be like close to $500.
A year. No.
Oh, that's not too bad.
$7.52.
I thought it was going to be like 600, 700 or something. I was
No,
like,
sir.
you got to kill me, man.
So the majority of the tax that you're paying goes to Yuma County, to the school districts, to
Right.
college. I mean, it gets what goes to the city of Somerton. What
Okay.
we're assessing is about $7 more on your
$7
yearly.
more. Oh, okay, all right. Oh, okay. And, 14% plus $7 and change?
What comes to the city?
Oh, it goes toward the city.
Yes.
Oh, okay, 14%. Okay.
The others, yeah, it's the other organizations. So
Oh, okay.
AWC,
You can do whatever you want. It's none of my business, but I'll just pay it. And then you guys do your magic as long as my house is paid and I don't get kicked out. So my house is paid off, so I'm good. So every year is better than rent every month. Oof, that's a struggle for people. But I think that's all I needed to know how much was going to be. Thank you very much for your time. And I think that's it. I don't think I need to ask. No, nothing. No, I'm all good. My car's paid off. My bills are paid off. My house paid off. So I'm all good. I just wondered what was the property tax.
Thank you.
That was it. Thank you very much for your time.
You done, Serena? Or?
That's it.
yes.
Yes. Any other questions or comments? Council? Is there a motion to exit executive session? No, public hearing. So motion by Councilwoman Sendejas. Second by Councilwoman Garcia. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to new business. Discussion of possible action to approve resolution number 2022-006, a resolution of the mayor and city council of the city of Somerton adopting estimates of proposed expenditures by the city of Somerton for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2022 and ending June 30, 2023, and declaring that such shall constitute the adopted budget of the city of Somerton for such fiscal year.
Mayor, council members, this would be setting the budget at $37 million, which includes the projects that I just went over, the capital purchases that I just went over, as well as a 2% COLA for employees. If you have any questions regarding the budget, I'm here to answer them.
Any questions or comments? Where's the vice mayor? Colin? No. Okay. Is there a motion? So a motion by Councilwoman Garcia. Second by Councilman Galindo. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Item number 2, discussion and possible action to approve resolution number 2022-007, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Somerton designating the Chief Fiscal Officer for officially submitting the fiscal year 2022 expenditure limitation report to the Arizona Auditor General.
Yeah. Mayor, council members, this is a resolution that we pass every year, identifying who will be submitting the expenditure limitation report to the Auditor General. It's very standard and it goes along with the audit. So.
Any questions or comments?
So this is something that we do every year, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Your motion? So motion by Councilwoman Sendejas. Second by Councilwoman Garcia. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Have a Board of Adjustment. Is there a motion to convene as Board of Adjustment?
So moved, Mayor.
So motion by Councilman Roldan.
Second, Mayor.
Second by Councilman Galindo. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We have a public hearing and presentation related to Variance Case PLN22-00010, a request by Castle Core Construction on behalf of Factum LLC related to the Future is Factor or Factum?
Factor sales.
LLC, the Soul Market Warehouse and Distribution Center located at 276 South Avenue B to reduce the number of required parking spaces, accessible parking spaces, and landscaping parking islands.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I have a brief presentation for you related to this variance case, the public hearing of the variance case. Could you go to the presentation, please, Andrea? It's at the very end of it. It's this one. Oh, exhibits.
Yes, I'm gonna-
If it's not there, just leave it on the location map, the exhibits. It's at the If we could just put it in the location map, then, Andrea. Keep going up. Sorry about that, Mayor and Council. This is about 120 pages long, this whole packet. That's fine right there, Andrea. So, Mr. Mayor and Council, this is a variance request for a parking space reduction. Factum LLC, Factor Sales, Del Sol Markets, is building a new 55,000 square foot warehouse and distribution center at 276 South Avenue B. It's up there close to the funeral home. You've probably seen the building. It's the second largest building ever built in the city of Somerton after the high school. As it is common with these large projects, we did a split permit, meaning we approved the building plans, but we have not yet approved the civil plans, which includes retention, utilities, and parking and paving and grading. The reason we have not approved the civil plans for this project is because the applicant has yet to submit a set of plans showing sufficient parking spaces. By staff calculation, this project of this size would require 59 regular parking spaces and 3 accessible parking spaces, as well as parking landscape islands every 12 spaces and at the ends of each parking row. So we've been going back and forth with the applicant. This is the project, this is what's required, and they have yet to submit something that meets the city zoning ordinance. City staff and the applicant met on April 7th, 2022, and the applicant informed staff that they would be applying for a variance. On May 10th, the applicant did submit the variance, and they submitted for the following items. Number 1, a 63% reduction of required parking spaces from the 59 required to 22, a 33% reduction of accessible parking spaces from 3 to 2, and as well as a general reduction of the parking landscaping islands. They didn't specify how many. We have a way of calculating how many would be required, but they just stated they would want a reasonable number of parking landscape islands. The applicant's justification for this is included in the staff report. as well as some other documentation they submitted. After a thorough review of the application package, staff believes that the variance may be approved with the following amendments to the request and with conditions of approval. Staff is recommending that the variance be amended as follows. Instead of 63% reduction, it'd be reduced to 40%, meaning instead of them providing 22 as they are proposing, staff is counter proposing 35. Staff is also recommending that the 33% reduction of accessible parking spaces reduction be removed entirely. So they would still be required the 3 accessible parking spaces because it's a small number. We're talking about just one additional space. And staff is recommending that there is a general reduction of the number of parking landscape islands to require them at the ends of parking rows only, and not every 12 spaces. Staff's justification for the amendment and recommendation is included in the staff report. Are there any questions from the council or the mayor at this point?
No questions?
How many employees are they going to have daily?
Councilmember Galindo, the applicant is here. I think they could answer that more specifically than I could.
We reduce it to 22, and if they have 40, where are they going to park? That's
would one of you care to answer the number of employees?
Carmen, can you come to the podium, please?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I would propose that we can continue with our presentation, and then after that, the applicant can come to the podium and answer any questions.
Well, Councilman Galindo asked a question, so you can answer the amount of employees, but let's keep it to that.
Good evening, Barry Olson, 101 East 2nd Street in Yuma, and I represent Factum. There are 9 employees, full-time employees that would be employed at this facility.
Thank you.
So, thank you for that. The resulting actions of your vote on this issue would be as follows. So, if approved as proposed by the applicant, there would be a 63% reduction of parking spaces granted. It would go down from the 59 required by the city code to 22. There would be a reduction of accessible parking spaces from 3 to 2. And there would be a general reduction of parking landscape islands as proposed by the applicant. If approved as proposed by city staff, there would be a 40% reduction. So the number of required spaces for the project would go down from 59 to 35. There would be no change in the number of required accessible parking spaces, and parking landscape islands would only be required at the ends of parking rows. If the application for the variance is denied, the applicant will be required 59 parking spaces, 3 accessible parking spaces, and parking landscape islands at the ends of parking rows and every 12 parking spaces. So this is a public hearing only, but at the upcoming item, staff will be recommending approval of the variance as proposed by staff and conditions of approval. And at this point, I would like to ask if you would like to hear the conditions of approval that staff has put upon.
Let's go ahead.
Okay, so they're all standard conditions except for conditions. There are 7 conditions. Conditions 1 through 4 are standard. Conditions 5 through 7 are specifically apply to this location. No, condition number 5 is, this variance shall be valid for the life of the original warehouse and storage use. The applicant/owner shall provide additional parking to fully comply with the most updated version of the Somerton zoning ordinance if and when a change of use of the building/property occurs or a secondary/auxiliary use is introduced into the property. So this variance is only for the warehouse use. If they wanted to do retail, for example, on the property, it's a very large lot. They have a lot of land. If they ever wanted to introduce a second use, they would be required to comply with the parking requirements for both the warehouse and the retail use. Or if they wanted to change the use, instead of a warehouse, now it's a data center or a call center for the company, then we will review. That's condition number 5. Number 6, the applicant owner shall stripe 24 overflow parking spaces on a portion of the paved maneuvering area as shown on the site plan and described in the staff report. Could you go back to that map, to the plan, Andrea, please? So this is something that was, actually, where'd you go back up? Where'd you find that? A little bit higher. There. Could you zoom in on that bottom one, the staff recommended? So they have this parking overflow area. Actually, no, I take that back. That's their truck maneuvering area for their trucks to go in and load all the equipment into the warehouse. It was discussed at the April 7th meeting that there could be the possibility of striping that area for overflow spaces. So if they were to provide the 35 fully improved spaces and the 24 striped overflow spaces, technically that would, in a way, provide all the parking spaces, but they all wouldn't be improved. This is just a way for us to have the number of spaces on site and to also grant them a little bit of flexibility. So condition number 6, the applicant / owner shall stripe 24 overflow parking spaces. No curbing, no landscape islands on that overflow area on a portion of the paved maneuvering area as shown on the site plan described in the staff report. Condition number 7, failure to comply with any of the conditions above shall result in a revocation of this variance and the loss of legal nonconforming status. It's kind of a standard condition as well. And that is the end of my presentation, Mayor and Council. Are there any questions for staff?
Councilman?
So the proposed from city staff is from 59 to 35, right?
Correct.
If they do those 35, then number 5 will be part of that, right? Or number 6, I'm sorry. Because it says 24 parking spaces. Will that be part of it? Will that cover that, or that will be extra?
Council Member Roldan, that would be in addition to the 35.
Okay.
So they would be providing 35 fully improved paved curb landscape islands, as well as 24 stripes. So just painted on the parking overflow.
Okay.
Yes. And that would equate in the 24 plus the 35, that would equate to 59 as required in the code.
Okay. Okay.
Say we later find out that there's more than 9 employees. Is there any, and if the variance is approved, is there any way that the city could go back and request, maybe have the owner sign an affidavit that there is, and we'll do regular curb checkups? You know, always gotta believe or verify. Is that a possibility? Is there any teeth behind it, or?
I think, Mr. Mayor, the only teeth at this point that we have put into the wording of this variance is that if they were to change the use, then we could go back and require additional, but we didn't include any wording about how for us to conduct routine checkups to count the number of employees. So the short answer is no, we really don't have anything. Once the variance is granted as it's written, it would be good for as long as that use stays the same, a warehouse distribution center. And they would have their 35 fully improved spaces from day one, from the day they open. And then they would also have their 24 overflow area. I mean, just based on the conversation that staff has had with the applicants, we think that would be adequate. So they could park on either the overflow area or the improved spaces. However, if they were to ever have more employees to the point that the 35 spaces or the overflow parking is insufficient, and they're parking in places where they shouldn't be parking, they're not striped or they're not improved, then that's when the city may be able to go in there and initiate a code enforcement. But we think staff believes this could work as is proposed.
And if they stripe the overflow parking, does it affect in any way the maneuvering of the trucks there? Is there in a way going to be less safe or are they going to have enough room to turn around and do they fit both uses, the traffic flow and the parking?
Mayor, that's a good question. I think based on the conversation that we had, it's doable. In the applicant's application, they mentioned that as well, that it's about 22,000 square feet in area. And they mentioned the possibility of utilizing some of that excess space as overflow parking. The applicant did not submit a circulation plan as part of this application. So that's something that they're going to have to come up with. They're going to have to draw it out and then we'll review. And if it's safe, then I guess it would be safe once it's reviewed by the engineering department. But at this point, all I can answer to that is I guess they're going to have to propose that. Their engineer is going to have to draw it out, the 24 spaces plus the maneuvering area. But from the sound of it, I mean, they seem to be saying that it could work.
Any other questions or comments?
And just to remind Council and Mayor that the applicant is here as well.
So the applicant wishes to speak.
Good evening again, Barry Olson, 101 East 2nd Street, Yuma, Arizona. I represent Factum LLC, and just so that there's no misunderstanding and council is fully aware of the relationship, of Factum LLC is an affiliated entity with Factor Sales, which operates the Del Sol Market in Somerton, and we have stores in San Luis and Yuma. Just a little history on this project is Factor Sales for years has had warehouse operations in San Luis. As Factor Sales has expanded its Del Sol operations in Yuma County, there's a need for a new warehouse. And when we started discussing locations for a new warehouse, I actually identified and mentioned to Factor Sales that it should consider San Luis on the site where the warehouse is being constructed. And as those of you who've been on council for a while and staff have known, I've been a big proponent of any type of development that we can attract to the city of Somerton. The city of Somerton's been great to work with for all these years. We've been successful in expanding water lines, doing new projects. Those of you who've been on council and staff know what those projects are. So with respect to this project, we have a warehouse operation that only employs 9 people. So if you look at the city parking ordinance, it basically requires over 50 parking spaces. Well, that's excessive. So when you look at a project like this, and is even recognized by the staff in its report, I believe it was item, I'll flip to it, 13, the city, like the city of Yuma and other municipalities in Arizona, are starting to evaluate the strict parking requirements that we have in parking codes. And what cities are finding out, and the city of Yuma's found this out, is that we're requiring too much parking. And there's problems with parking, heat, and other issues, and wasted space. So this project, one thing I'll also note is the city's desire is to have parking in the rear of a building. And I've noticed in the staff report, staff recognizes that this project Factum has agreed to put the parking in the rear. So the question basically gets to be is what's reasonable? And just to clarify what we're proposing, it's 24 parking spaces total, but there's been some miscommunication or misunderstanding. We're not requesting a reduction in the 3 accessible parking spaces. We're fine with the 3. So we just want to clarify that. The 24 is an additional 21 parking spaces for the employees. Now, basically, even if we doubled in size, we would still have 3 extra parking spaces. And I want to point that out. And I've represented Factor Sales for years, and I'm very familiar with its employment base for a variety of reasons. But we've always had, warehouse operations with between 5 to 9 employees, and some of that depends on the shifts. So in this case, if you're to grant the variant, you're not going to see a lot of cars out there, parked all over the place. What you're basically going to see is, at most 9 cars filling up less than half the parking lot. We also don't have a problem with the city's request that we stripe the area which is referred to in the site plan as the loading area or the parking area. That could be overflow parking if necessary, but we just don't anticipate that ever being a problem with this site. With respect to the conditions of approval, I'll note that staff is recommending, which we agree with, that this is just specific to the warehouse operation. If this changes into a call center or some other use, the city has every right to request additional parking for that change of use. So that's not a problem. We're just talking about a warehouse operation and what's reasonable. And as those of you in business can recognize, it's tough enough. Construction expenses are up. It's difficult, especially right now. Pavement costs are up, concrete costs are up. We're trying to get the parking limited to a reasonable number, and we believe the 21 regular spaces and 3 accessible spaces makes sense. I'd also like to clarify that as to the landscape islands, what we're proposing are 2 islands. We feel that that's reasonable. Those of you who have seen these landscape islands, the city of Yuma used to require these all the time. I've had numerous discussions with the city of Yuma, but one thing you recognize when you go up to the city of Yuma with a lot of these parking islands and large parking lots, you can't keep anything alive. Even cactus doesn't survive in a lot of these parking island, landscape islands in the middle of parking lots. But staff recognizes that if you strictly were to apply the parking code to this instance, it's too much. It requires too much parking. So the question is, what's reasonable? We don't feel that what staff's recommending makes sense. What we believe is reasonable is what we're recommending in the 24 total parking spaces in the 2 islands, 2 landscape islands. The conditions of approval by staff are fine with us if we can get the parking where it needs to be. With that, I entertain any questions, and I have representatives from Factum here as well as the builder who could also address any questions that I might not be able to answer.
Any questions or comments? No? Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there a motion to reconvene?
Hold on. This is a public hearing, so anyone else from the public on the, and then
I did ask if there was a question.
Yeah, 8.2.
We're closing the public hearing, and then we're doing a decision.
Yeah, that's why we're reconvening into our.
Oh, you're still as a Board of Adjustment. You're just closing the public hearing, and it's still as a Board of Adjustment deciding.
Okay. Okay. Their motion to what the council said. What was it?
Close the public hearing.
Close. No, not close Board of Adjustment, right?
Yeah, just close the public hearing. You're still the Board of Adjustment, right?
Yeah, we're still Board of Adjustment. Close the public hearing. Okay. So motion by Councilwoman Sendejas.
Second
by Councilman Roldan. Those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, so item number 2, right? Discussion and possible action related to Variance Case PLN22-00010, a request by Council Core Construction on behalf of Factum LLC related to the future of Factum LLC warehouse and distribution center located at 276 South Avenue B to reduce the number of required parking spaces, accessible parking and landscaping parking items.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. This is the action item on the variance case that we've just gone over in the public hearing. As I mentioned in my presentation, staff's recommendation is to approve the variance with the staff recommended amendments for a 40% reduction in the number of required parking spaces. So from 59 as code requires to 35 as recommended by staff. And no reduction in the number of accessible parking spaces, 3. And a general reduction of required parking landscape islands and to have them be required at the ends of parking rows. If they have 1 parking row, it would just be at the end of that, 2. If they have 2 parking rows, at another set of 2, so 4 total parking islands. Staff is recommending that the Board of Adjustment approve the variance as proposed by staff in the staff report and subject to the conditions in Exhibit C.
Thank you. So we heard from the applicant and city staff. So, Council, do you have any comments or questions?
Just a comment there. I noticed on the proposed by applicant, the variance, on number 3, it says general reduction of required parking landscaping. I mean, there will be no landscaping in areas or that's what?
Councilmember Roland, that one, the third point. So in their application, they asked for a reasonable number of parking landscape islands. A parking landscape island typically is landscaped with gravel, shrubs, whatever the code requires. It would still be required landscaping. This is only addressing the number of islands, the quantity.
But it doesn't say how many, right?
No, they didn't specify how many, but they did in the public hearing mention that they would like just 2 at the end, 1 at the end of the parking row.
So basically same as number 3 on the proposed by city staff.
Right, except the only difference is that we're saying at the end of every parking row. So if they have 2 parking rows, it would be 4 islands total, not the 2 that the applicant is requesting.
I see.
Any other comments?
I'll make a comment, Mayor.
Yes.
Just kind of listening at the applicant and reading the report, it kind of seems that we're off by the parking lots, the spaces, and if there's only 9 employees there, I can kind of see the reason as to why, we wouldn't need so many of them. But at the same time, I understand that if it's our city code, we need to adhere by it. My thinking on this is just maybe there's some way where kind of have, I don't know, maybe a rubric or depending on how it is, because even if we add the 35 parking lots spaces that staff is recommending, I'm doing the math here. That's maybe growing the business by almost 4 times, which I don't think, from what I heard from the applicants, it's probably not gonna happen, even if they doubled in size. So I think somehow we're off by, why create spaces when it's not. I feel that somehow we're in a way limiting and limiting not ourselves, but making it harder when really the space is not really needed. So I don't have the solution for that. I don't know how it would look. It kind of seems that we're asking, the company to develop extra parking spots that really are not going to be used. But again, I understand if that's our code. I want to make sure that we adhere to our code, because that's, we must. But it seems like we're off, and there's some, I believe some I don't know, some homework or some to come up with the middle ground. Because I think at the end of the day, we want to bring businesses and employers here, to our city, but so I don't know what that looks like, but it seems that we're still off even with the 35 and the 21.
Yeah, my concern is tying the variance to the use. I would like to, if it stays a warehouse and for some reason it grows or there's more employees than parking, I would like to come back to the owner and say, hey, you have a bunch of cars parking, along, on the gravel or wherever. So I think if we approve the minimum spaces, then some sort of having the owner have an affidavit, and we'll do like we do the fire inspections yearly, or just a curbside, and just verifying that it's 9 employees. Because if the owner sells and there's another warehouse, it's still going to carry that use, right? The warehouse. But what if it's a warehouse that requires more employees? Then right, we're going to have something that, I'm out for being flexible and working with the individual owner or the company, but I also want to make sure that, like I always said, we do it to one, we'll do it to everybody, and I would feel comfortable if someone else comes and say, okay, you tell me that you're only going to have 9 employees. They're doubling the size here of employees, ensuring that, but that we can also verify. If not, then we have a legal document that they said, hey, we've gone, for so many days and you have more employees, and that's something that at least for me, that's what I feel comfortable that having the use with the property. What if there's more employees? It's just at least I always say trust but verify it. That's I'm all for flexibility, but I would like for us to have some sort of way to be able to require those parking spaces. I don't know if that could be
Mayor. Something like that would require us to insert an 8th condition of approval, kind of specifying that what I took from what you said, have them sign an affidavit saying they have this many employees. We granted them the variance because they said they had this many employees. Routine inspections, perhaps on an annual basis for either business license or fire inspection purposes, and kind of just or routine, like you said. And then we could it could be sort of like the code enforcement process that I mentioned earlier. If we find that they're in violation of what they said they were going to do, then we could come back and have the means of requiring the additional parking. That would require an 8th condition of approval to be added. So is that something that you would like inserted?
At least for me, but I don't know what the rest of council, like I said, I want to be flexible, but I also want to ensure that it doesn't outgrow it, and then we're stuck with some PM10 issues, cars are going into dirt or whatever. It just,
Mayor, I have a quick question for Saul. Saul, I noticed that the pictures on the presentation that it was sent to council.
Yes.
I noticed that there's a lot of buildings or warehouses like that. Have we done something similar to them, or have they come and applied for a variance, or are they meeting the spaces that they need to have?
Councilmember Roldan, this is actually the first major industrial project to be reviewed under this code. So by this code, I mean since 2015. So in the last 7 years, there hasn't been anything like this of this magnitude. As I mentioned earlier, this is actually the 2nd largest building ever built in Somerton. So we really don't have anything to compare it against, unfortunately, in the city of Somerton.
Okay.
I have a question. So how did you come up with the 40%? Why 40%?
I was hoping you'd ask, someone would ask that. So 40%, the way it's in our code, it's 1 space per 1,000 spaces. Sorry, 1 space per 1,000 square feet of gross floor area of warehouse, and 1 space per 350 square feet of office area, roughly 59 spaces. Well, the city of Yuma is one space per 1,500, so around 36% less than us. So right there, we have a direct comparison to the city of Yuma. Their standard flat requirement for a warehouse is about 36% lower than ours. The county is actually a little bit more flexible because they do take it on a per employee. They have a different method of coming up with that. And from what I could tell, it's lower than the city's requirement. So to put it simply, right in the middle. Not as much as the county, not as high as we used to be. Still a little bit lower than the city of Yuma.
Higher than the county percentage and lower than the city of.
Yes.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Is there a motion?
Or with the conditions that Saul mentioned, or?
You can make whatever motion you want. To be seconded. The extra condition?
With the extra condition with the affidavit? Yeah. Make a motion to approve those conditions to include the affidavit, just for their protection as well.
The clients or staff? The client. Yeah. Okay, so the owner's petition with an affidavit of the number of employees.
So you're basically accepting the full variance with their conditions.
And they just mentioned parking, to the ADA parking spaces. You're fine with the 3, right? That was one of my concerns.
Yes, the 3 accessible spaces are fine.
Yeah. With the landscaping, I don't have an issue. We see that we're trying to reduce landscaping here, and we know the maintenance, so and it's hidden. So,
Mr. Mayor, may I, before you take a vote, we have a suggestion. This is probably simpler than verifying the employees. It's basically if staff drives by and sees that parking lot is full, it has every right to ask us a question: is why is your parking lot full when we came before you and told you we only have 9 employees? So that to me is really what you need to measure is, okay, at any time do you see that there's a full parking lot? And if so, why? That's would be the, that makes more sense than coming in and filing an affidavit on the employees.
No, the owners should have that. They're not going to have more than 9 employees or whatever it is, and if it goes over the parking spaces, then something.
My concern with that is let's go back a couple of years ago. We had our problem with COVID. You might have to go from 9 employees to 10 or 11 to cover, but we still have a sufficient amount of parking spaces.
Yeah, that's my concern. If it starts overflowing, that we have something that to go after.
To me, it's that we don't have more employees than parking spaces. That would be what would seem to be the appropriate affidavit. Is we don't have a problem saying is we won't have more employees than the number of parking spaces we have.
I'd be fine with that. Yeah. Go ahead, Councilman.
I think to solve that problem for us to go check or whatever it is, if we approve it the way staff recommends, I think that'll solve that problem of us going and checking or anything, because, they can grow 2, 3, 4 times and still the parking lot's still available for that. And they'll take away, for the employees just to go check on the company. I mean, if that's, affidavit or whatever we need to do, I think if we do that, then, we're not putting ourselves in that situation. The employees go check, make sure, every so often that if they have 9, 10, 15 vehicles or whatever it is.
Yeah, and that was, I guess, staff's goal to do it. But
I mean,
we're trying to be
understand.
flexible. So.
Yeah.
But
I
yeah,
understand.
Are you going to continue your motion?
No, I'm lost. So I make a motion to approve the variance with the 8 conditions to include that there will be no more employees than there are parking spaces. Right?
Yes.
And just to clarify, that would be as requested by the applicant, a 63% reduction.
Yes, right.
Right.
So motion by Councilwoman Sendejas.
Second.
Second by Councilman Galindo. Those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, Mayor, Council.
Thank you. So,
So maybe we need a motion.
Is there a motion to reconvene into
So moved.
as a council, right? Motion by Councilwoman Sendejas.
Second.
Second by Councilman Castillo. Those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Summary of current events.
COVID-19, it has increased to a level 2 of concern across the county. We're seeing more positive cases here in the last 2 weeks, and it obviously has shown from a month ago that we were going to see an increase. So it's here again. We've had several cases here in the city as well. Please remember that 4th of July is our retro Independence Day. So please come and join us on 4th of July, Monday, 4th of July, which Rimo Latino will be present. So come and enjoy us and have fun. And Chief, de anda.
Mayor and Council. Captain Javier Hernandez will be the acting chief here, the interim, and I'll be bringing him up to speed so that when I exit in 2 weeks, he'll be able to carry things on. As far as the COVID, we've been running on a couple of COVID cases here and there, but the difference is that they're not wanting to go to the hospital and they're very mild cases. So far, that's what we've seen. We have been running on the undocumented aliens. Most of them have not been at the levy anymore. They've been at the Regional Center for Border Health. The vast majority have been pregnant women. It's just kind of odd how that happens. It's one after another. And the third one was both our ladder and our engine are down right now with the mechanical problems. So we're using a City of Yuma engine that's been borrowed until they can be repaired. That's all I have.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. I'm going to start off with a little bit of bad news and then I'll go into the good one. So we're struggling to hire dispatchers. We had about 56 applicants apply through Indeed. We called every single one of them. 16 of them said they were still interested. And then we ended up with 4 people confirming that they would attend our testing and our interviews. So we're still working on that. The other news is that on July 1st from 8 to 11, we're going to have a coffee with the cop at La Cabaña. You're all more than welcome to join us. Hopefully some of the citizens will show up and you'll get an opportunity to speak to them as well. We recently had Officer Haney graduate the Walia Academy, which is in Lake Havasu. We've just hired an officer from another agency, a lateral, who'll be joining. They both joined us today. They started their first day today. So they'll hopefully the officer that's a lateral who's already trained and certified through the state of Arizona, hopefully he'll have a shorter training period, but Officer Haney is going to be going through a 4-month training with us, so he won't be ready to go solo until 4 months from now. We also have at least one concerned citizen and previously 1 or 2 employees regarding our patrol cars that are idling. So let me explain a little bit more about what that means. So a lot of the times you'll see, or some of the times you'll see some of the police cars that are turned on and in the parking lots, whether they be at City Hall or at Circle K or at a call. Our mobile units are devices that are mobile computer units that are sit inside a vehicle or connected electrically through a dock in our police cars. In order for me to get off of a call, let's say I'm at a domestic call and I'm out there 15, 20 minutes dealing with the call, I leave my car. I have to leave my car on in order for that computer to continue to work when I go back to the car. Let's say that I'm dealing with the call. I'm here at City Hall. My car is outside. It'll be on. It'll be locked, but the mobile will still be running. The computer will still be running. In case I get a hot call and I have to leave that call, if I'm responding with one or two more officers and I run back to my car, I'm able to open it. And if the dispatcher is still providing information about this hot call that we have, I'm able to open my computer immediately and I have all the information that I need, the description of the subject, the description of the vehicle, without having to interrupt our dispatchers. Most of the time, remember, you have one dispatcher that could be dealing with the fire, and we have that information accessible and ready to go from our mobile computers. So that's one thing that you need to know. The other thing that you need to know, the reason that our cars are on and idling is because in order for me to retrieve my handgun, my rifle or my shotgun from the secure area that's standing right between the two seats, I have to be able to push a button that releases that weapon for me to get it out immediately. In order for that to happen, the car has to be on. If the car's not on, I cannot release that weapon. So if we have a hot situation where I need to run immediately to my car, I will have to find my keys, turn on the car before I'm able to. And I'm telling you, because a lot of times we're so, what's the word I'm looking for? We're so in a rush to get that weapon that those little motor skills, they're gone. Me trying to find keys to turn on car. So having to be able to release that weapon immediately is very, very important for the safety of the citizens, important for us to be able to respond immediately to calls. So those are the two things that I'd like to remind the public of. One of the other things that I'd like to remind the public of is sometimes you see our and I'm not making an excuse for our officers, but sometimes you see our officers together, either at a place grabbing something to eat, or maybe at the middle school. A lot of the times when we meet, we're prepping about how we're going to be responding to a call. If we have a call that we need to approach and make an arrest, we'll meet real quick and we'll sort out who has what weapon, what are we doing, what if the guy doesn't open the door, what if. So we're doing some sort of planning while we're doing that. A lot of times the officers that I work with, they'll go 12 hours without eating. So if you see them at anywhere, you see them, they're taking that little bit of a time to grab some food. It doesn't happen often, but it does happen sometimes where I get to eat because my schedule's a lot nicer. But the officer's schedule, sometimes it'll be 6 o'clock and I look at them and they haven't had anything to eat. So sometimes they take that little extra moment to have something to eat. So just keep that in mind as well. Last thing I have is all our officers and our staff, very important that our staff inside is also CPR certified, basic life support certification, at the first aid certified. In the past, it wasn't very necessary for the staff to be trained inside, but I'm inside and I'd like for somebody to know CPR in case I go down or if anybody else goes down. So everybody's trained to be able to rescue anybody at the station. So, and for the public as well. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Armando.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. At the moment, we have the new positions that are just recently opened up for recruiting for Parks and Recreation Director and Fire Chief. In addition to that, firefighter, we're still ongoing with a recruitment for part-time, full-time firefighters and police, and also 911 emergency dispatch.
Sarina. Finance.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. Right now, my main concern is wrapping up the year, getting all our encumbrances rolled over, getting all our invoices paid timely prior to closing the fiscal year. We'll be uploading and sending all the information to the Auditor General regarding the budget and obviously the resolution that was just approved by you. And what else are we working? We've got a couple of things. We're auditing our accounts receivable and reviewing those for year end and determining what is coming in and what isn't. That's all I have.
Budget was approved. That's
Economic development.
Thank you for approving the budget.
Either one of you. Lovely ladies.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. Staff has received and it is currently reviewing the plan submitted for the addition of the high school. This is a new wrestling room, 6 tennis court, and additional parking. So we are reviewing that portion of zoning and engineering. Well done. Our plan reviewer is reviewing the construction portion of it. Also, the Arizona Department of Housing, Manufactured Housing and Building Division has submitted their inspection service agreement that we have with them for council to approve and review for the next 5 years. With this agreement, the state allows local jurisdictions to enforce manufactured home standards on the state's behalf for installation, inspection, and permitting. This agreement also includes the state's fee schedule, which has also been approved by the city at the last city fee review. This agreement is being reviewed by legal right now and will be included possibly at the next agenda for potential approval. And lastly, the next commission meeting is scheduled for July 18th. We only have one item on the agenda at this time. Also, I would like to invite members of the community to submit their letter of interest for the open position that we have with the resignation of Councilwoman Zendejas. We still have one position open with the commission. That's all. Thank you.
Economic development.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I will start with item 1. Thank you to Marcus Carney, Executive Director of Visit Yuma, for inviting us to be a part of the strategy and brainstorming for their marketing agency called J-Ray. So J-Ray works with Visit Yuma in designing marketing campaigns, PR, pitching the county to writers, social media influencers, travelers, travel shows, etc. And this Thursday, I will have the opportunity to collaborate with the Visit Yuma team by giving the marketing agency a tour of the city of Somerton and sharing what makes our city special and vibrant. And there's a way of us collaborating with Visit Yuma to have our city showcased and promoted in different parts. So we are looking, number 2 is we are looking forward to working with our community CBDC in another project. We currently do work with them offering office space for them to do consulting to our local businesses. And now this project is to continue our efforts in promoting all our city businesses through a Shop Local campaign. Grants will be available that can make this campaign possible. So pretty soon we're going to start reaching out to our local businesses for this campaign. And on Wednesday, June 8th, 2022, we participated in the panel during the Festival of Fisheries and Aquaculture in Peñasco. And upon participating in the panel, several significant conversations have been sparked in terms of collaboration with the state of Sonora and their businesses and our sister city, Puerto Peñasco. And before concluding, I just want to say thank you to Mayor Anaya, to my city manager and city attorney for helping me make this trip to Peñasco a success. Thank you.
Sam.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. An update on the Valley Vista Water Project. This project is basically on the same status. We are continuing waiting to receive the foundation repair package and the steel casing for the main drain crossing. This project is 100% completed, just the crossing on the main drain. That's the only pending item. The South Somerton Drainage Project, contractor completed all the punch list items. The APS provided the power to the storm lift station. The only pending on this lift station is the APS meter. An update on our 1 million gallon water tank project. Contractor will start demolition the first week of July. The wastewater treatment plant bar screen project. Contractor started the bar screen installation this week, actually yesterday. The water treatment plant filter project, contractor completed the second filter and should start with the third filter next week. And lastly, Parkview Commerce Center, we received the signed contract and the bonds from contractor. We should have our signatures today and start setting up the pre-construction meeting. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. This is Mesa, Parks and Rec Director. Just want to mention that the irrigation pump at Council Park is out of service. We had to outsource a temporary pump, keep with the project, the irrigation, especially right now that the SMS is going through major projects for landscaping. We are seeking quotes to replace or repair whatever is more convenient and factual. Also, the department is working alongside PEP Youth Build. They're always very helpful. Right now, we're trying to repaint all the playgrounds for 12th Street, Joe Munoz, and Council Park. The Council Park is going to be ready before 4th of July, including the Ramada, so everything looks a little nicer, adds more color to the event. Also, the Senior Center yearly Las Vegas trip is scheduled for September 6th through the 9th. This year, they're going an additional day, make it a little bit more convenient on the seniors, less stress on the travel and all that. And just in a side note, just want to express my gratitude for City Council. Today is my last day as current Parks and Rec Director. It's been a pleasure working alongside all the staff. My team has been great. I can honestly attest for them that they're hardworking people. They're sharp, and they've been empirical in my action plan. Thanks to them, we were able to come through with all the projects. Mostly, what didn't take place, it's already in motion. And I'm sure they're gonna come through in the next fiscal year. Just a special thank you to the Mayor Anaya. He's been very, very helpful. It's always great to have a leader on the main chair being very supportive of Parks and Rec. That's an asset for any city. And thank you to all my coworkers. They've been great. And I'll be around, hopefully helping through another platform at NAU. So give me a call if you need somebody working with seniors, and I will be working with Desert Valley Senior Center. Thank you.
Councilwoman Garcia.
First of all, thank you, Jesus, for your hard work, dedication to the city. We really appreciate it. And like you said, we hope to see you around and reach out to you for future projects. I had mentioned in the last meeting that I was working on a food drive for this summer. I have it down for July 23rd. I talked to the Pastor Castro in San Luis, Arizona, and he's going to help us by bringing a semi-truck. So anybody interested in volunteering, I would appreciate it. It will be July 23rd at 6 a.m. until the semi is, yeah, traigo burritos. But yeah, anybody interested in helping out is greatly appreciated. Thank you.
Castillo.
I have nothing, Mayor.
I also want to wish Jesus Mesa luck in your future endeavors, and we thank you very much for your dedication to the city, as well as the chief. Thank you so much, Chief, for your service of all these years and your dedication to our community. You know, I remember growing up and you being around. So thank you so much for taking care of all of us here in our city. Thank you. That's all I have. Oh, and Councilwoman Garcia, I will be there to assist.
I was in the meeting today for the break. I was reading, one of the things that caught my eye is that they still got a lot of ARPA funds. So anyone that
Any seniors or any person out there that you guys know, please send them over there. There's plenty of money still, and there, I believe, is, they still got time so they can get. One of the things they do is they pay you for whatever rent that you're behind, and then 3 months after that. if you have a delinquency with your landlord, they can still help you out. So please send them that way. Thank you, Jesus, for your work, for everything you've done for us. So thank you very much, man. Oh, muchas gracias. I was a cadet when you came here, 18, and I had hair at that time. 18 years old, well, actually 17 years old. And now I'm 40-ish, and you're still here. So thank you for all your service, for all your dedication to the city. I know you not a couple of years, but for some years you left, and then you came back to your city. So thank you for all your service you're done, and wish you the best, enjoy your retirement, continue dance. Your wife, pretty good dancer over there. So thank you, Paul, for what you've done to the city. Okay, Saul, just don't think just because we don't go the way you presented, we're not taking care of what you do or your work that you do. It's just that we have to be flexible, like the mayor said and stuff. But I really appreciate because you're very clear in what you do, and I think we all understand things that you're doing, and very to the point. We ask the questions and right away. Perro, good job. And then Serena, thank you for answering that question to that guy. I think looking on some questions on the Facebook, someone says, well, yeah, they're spending the money on the school. We're not even part of that, but they're still, or yeah, they're raising the money because they need it for whatever it is. And it's just, I think, a misperception of, the thing is thousands of dollars of their payment is going to go out. And I think us, our council and as employees, just educate the people, let them know, what it is. And thank you for clarifying that to the guy. I think he's going to go back and tell, dude, it's only $7. It's not going to, So I think that goes a long way. And on this sports, I think Mr. Castillo was out there at the state tournament, and to see a lot of kids from Somerton participate is and put that name again in there. It's really good. Like Samantha said, it was, I think 3 teams are continued to regionals. One of our teams, we're going to the Cooperstown Baseball World, and it's really hard to make it to that tournament. And we got 12-year-olds, 14 players, 9 players are from Somerton, and the other ones are from San Luis and then Yuma, San Luis, Arizona, and Yuma. And just to see the schedule come out playing against Georgia, New York, Philadelphia, Illinois, and Canada, I think it brings the chills that kids from Somerton get to experience that. Not many kids go to that. If you ask around, even players from Yuma, it's really hard to go that in. And I think, we'll be represent. I'll send pictures to you guys so we can put on Facebook and let them know that we're out there, that kids from Somerton are making it over there. And I think they'll set the example also for the rest of the kids so they can continue. And also, they said we're going to be celebrities at the school. Like, yeah, you're in the summer right now. There's no school. So yeah. And then they come back and then they go to regional. So I think as a council, supporting the youth and supporting the leagues, not only baseball, but soccer and any other sports that we do, and also the seniors, I think we're doing a good job in that. And so I thank you, all of us, I think, for doing what we're supposed to be doing, and thank you, staff, for what you do. So thank you.
Well, Councilman Roldan said that. Well, as Marlene said, we went to Peñasco and we renewed the Sister City agreement. We invited them in October. Hopefully they come for the UTV festival, and we give them a tour of our facilities. I think we have some good programs and infrastructure that we can share, and then some ideas and safety too. And they were interested because they said we're consistently in the top 10 safest cities, so they wanted to have the dialogue. So yeah, when they come down, it's still going to be hot, but it's September, right? Not October. The UTV, yeah, 24th. So they said they were going to come and bring a group. They wanted to come earlier, but I don't know if we can make the July. Yeah, it's almost. Yeah, and Jesus, thank you. Thank you for your service to the city. And, thanks a lot. Also, Chief, thank you. I didn't realize it was going to be your last council meeting until Councilwoman Sendeja said so. Yeah, thanks a lot. Yeah. How many years? Here for the city? Yeah, total. $29 years. Yeah. Yeah. But he knows that HR knows. Yeah. It's 8:26. Do you want to adjourn into executive session? Is there a motion?
Second.
Councilman Sendeja, second by Councilman Rosado. Those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. The item in executive session is discussion or consideration of employment, evaluation, assignment, appointment, promotion, salary for Jorge Lozado, City Attorney for City of Somerton.
Thank you. Thank you very much, sir. Good job. We use next